A devil figure with a thick skeleton armor body is charging up a giant ball of flame so he can unleash it on the man he is battling. He swears that this is the end for his enemy, the man named Leo. The fireball approaches like he is about to be directly hit by a meteor. He activates ice magic and uses it to block the attack. He calls the creature the Demon King Belfar. He strengthens his ice magic, creating a path of ice that reaches and pierces through the Demon King. As Belfar slowly disintegrates, he tells Leo that he should not think it is over. Then he explodes. Leo can't believe that it is finally over. He finds relief that there is no longer a threat. He returns to the kingdom, celebrated by the people for bringing peace to the world. Later, he returns to Tenor Orphanage, the place where he was born and grew up. A little girl carrying a teddy bear sees that Leo is about to leave by riding a chariot. He tells the kid that she should wait for him to return. She asks that when he comes back, he teach her magic. Later, Leo arrives at the royal castle, where he is greeted fondly by the king. Leo greets him and Prince Shark. Princess Sarah appears to also meet with him. He kisses her hand to formally greet her. The king tells Leo that when he told Sarah that he would be coming to the castle, she arrived immediately, making the princess cover up her face embarrassment. Leo asks the king why he has summoned him. The king informs him that Prince Shark has information about a cave where monsters are appearing. This shocks Leo, who thought the monsters would disappear once he defeated the Demon King. The king wants him to investigate since there have been reports that people have failed to return after entering it. He thinks that as long as Leo is the one going, there is nothing left to worry about. Leo sees that it is his duty to complete this task so he can eliminate the factors that threaten people's peace. He thinks about the kids in the orphanage and how he needs to do it, especially for their future. He bows to the king and accepts the mission. The king also wants them to discuss the marriage with Princess Sarah once the mission is done, making Sarah blush. Leo laughs it up, but deep down, he does not see this as something the king is serious about. They invite him to stay in the castle for the night so that he can go with Shark to the cave tomorrow. The next day, Shark meets up with Leo as they get ready to venture. Shark reaches out his hand for him and tells him that he is honored to be working with him. Leo takes the handshake and says he feels the same honor. Shark shows him the cave entrance and asks him to go right ahead. Inside the cave, there are large roots everywhere, and they are heading down a series of seemingly bottomless pits. Leo feels a strange aura through them, and he believes it might have something to do with why people keep disappearing. Just as he asks Shark to be careful, the prince stabs him in the back with a sword, and it pierces right through his chest. Leo goes weak from the poison. He asks why he did it. The prince tells him that it is because he is getting too close to Princess Sarah when it should be him who should marry her. Leo replies that he has no interest in political power and is just doing his best for the kids at the orphanage. Shark laughs hard. He tells him that the kids are no longer alive and shows him a broken piece of the little girl's teddy bear as proof. Reveals that he set the orphanage on fire last night so that no one would carry on his will. As he says this, he stomps on the teddy bear piece. He cruelly smiles as he sarcastically tells Leo that they can all be happy together. Leo screams in anger and tries to charge at him, but Shark kicks him to fall into one of the pits. As he falls, the prince sarcastically calls him the hero of justice and thanks him for all his hard work. Later, Leo wakes up and finds that he is alive in a puddle of water. He recalls the face of Shark when he betrayed him. It angers him so that he stomps his fist and swears that he will never forgive him. He refocuses on the series of tunnels to find a way to get out. A living skeleton of a ferocious creature approaches him. It surprises him since it is a monster he has never seen before, but he launches fireball magic on it. The creature gets destroyed as a result of the explosion. Suddenly, a graphic window appears to inform Leo that he is in the middle of a secret quest called Infinite Passage Strategy and that he has completed 1-inch 1 million. He tries to touch the window, but his hand passes through it. Another skeleton beast appears and he destroys it with flame magic too. The window then informs him that he is now 2 out of 1 million. He wonders if the number will keep increasing as he defeats more monsters. He forgets about thinking about it for now in favor of finding the exit first. As he treks, he finds multiple corpses of the people who have gone missing. It makes him realize that he can die and that he needs to get out as quickly as possible. Days went by of Leo battling monsters while finding a way out. A year later, his status has already reached 10,000. He believes that throughout his battles, what keeps him sane is his thought of revenge against Shark. More time has passed by, and he has already reached 100,000. He even learned a new magic with an attribute he did not know about. His status indicates that it is called Dark Attribute Magic. Continuing forward, he uses the power on the monsters. He realizes that he can use it against Shark one day. 10 years later, Leo is still in the dark caverns of the cave. With his accumulated experience in dark magic, he has completed the secret quest by getting 1 million out of 1 million. The status congratulates him for completing the secret quest. Leo hears a voice begging him to defeat someone. He asks who they are. Suddenly, he sees light from a door opening up in front of him. The brightness inside makes him cover his eyes. He wonders if he can get back to the surface once he enters. Suddenly, he wakes up in a puddle of water again. He sees his face in the reflection, but he does not recognize it. He gets up to look around and sees that he is in a fountain centerpiece for a modern campus with a building in front of him. He wonders where he is. A group of 3 bullies wearing school uniforms, like Leo, sees him and calls him Kuro. Leo asks who they are. The lead bully is pissed that he is asking such weird questions. He grabs Leo's head and puts it in the water to make him drown. Leo activates water attribute magic, making the fountain water burst into an explosion, which throws the lead bully away. The bullies wonder if he was the one who did that. The leader tells his men that they can forget about him and leave. As Leo observes them running away, he asks what is going on. He suddenly hears a voice praising him for releasing so much power despite his magic being suppressed. He sees that it is coming from a floating purple orb of light. The light urges Leo to follow them so they can talk properly. It goes until the top of a pedestrian bridge. With them in private, the light transforms into a floating little girl with blue hair and glittery clothes. The girl hugs him and calls him her master. Leo asks her who she is and what is going on. She introduces herself as Luna, the goddess's messenger. She elaborates that she is the guide for the dead, shocking Leo. She informs him that he actually passed away when he was in the hole and that he has arrived in a world different from his own. She continues that he has taken over the body of a boy thanks to the goddess's power. It is so much to take in that Leo sits down to absorb it all. Luna apologizes for overwhelming him. He asks her why the goddess transferred him to this world. Luna is about to answer, but they get disturbed by the sudden appearance of a green gate. Luna sees it as perfect timing and urges Leo to come with her inside. He enters and it transports him to a rocky desert. A monster he recognizes as something under the Demon King Belfar charges at him. It is a dinosaur-type monster named Gransaurus, and it is formidable because of the strong magic barrier around its body. Leo recalls how it took him 3 days to defeat it before. Luna informs him that using magic will make fighting it easy. He recalls that he means the dark attribute magic he learned in the cave. As the monster homes in on him, he activates dark magic towards the creature's magic barrier, breaking it into pieces as a result. He then unleashes Dark Claw, a move where giant claws made of dark light sprout out from the ground and attack the monster from all directions. The overwhelmed creature falls unconscious to the ground. Luna cheers for her master's victory. Leo is shocked that he has so much power within him. They return to the other side of the gate on the bridge, where Luna continues to praise him. Leo is pissed at her for leaving out so many details when he entered the gate. The girl apologizes and tells him that she thought it would be easier for him to understand by facing the beast head-on. Leo thinks about it and deduces that the Demon King Belfar is coming to this world. Luna says she is right and that the gate also appeared as a result of the Demon King. She continues to say that leaving the gates alone would mean monsters would end up destroying the world. Leo realizes that the goddess put him in this world to protect it. Just as he is in the middle of a thought on why Belfar is coming, he sees a glass nearby with a crest on it. He recognizes it as the crest Prince Shark has marked on his hand. He wonders if this means that Shark is in the world too. Luna can tell that he is furious with his trembling fist. Luna then sees someone coming and disappears in a puff of air. A woman with a uniform from the school sees him and asks for a moment with him. The woman asks Leo if he has seen a gate appear. Luna speaks to Leo telepathically and advises him to act as if he does not know anything. He does what she says and tells the woman he did not see anything. The woman then recognizes him and asks if he is the student who was tangled up with the delinquents earlier. She feels guilty and bows to apologize for being too late to stop them. Leo tells her that she did nothing wrong and should not apologize for something like that. Now that she is satisfied that there is no gate around, she decides to return to the dorm. Now that they are alone again, Luna reappears and shares her amazement that the girl could sense the gate's presence. She feels a tingle of romance as if it were a meeting between a boy and a girl within a game. Later, Leo heads to the student dorm. The door of his room is filled with taped notes of threats or aggressive insults against him. He looks around the corridor and sees people smirking with evil intent as they look at him. Leo comes in. Luna appears and complains about the people who wrote such vulgar things on his door. Leo can tell that Kuro, the body of the boy he inhabits, must have had a tough time. He asks Luna why the school has the same crest that Shark wore, and if it means that the prince is also in this world with the Demon King. Luna says she does not know either, as she does not know everything about the world either. She says that she has never seen the prince through her peeks into this world. Leo looks at the flag with Shark's crest outside his window and he thinks about how he can never forgive the guy or what he did. The next morning, Leo wakes up and grabs scissors to cut his hair, which Luna says is a look that looks cool. As he wears his school uniform, he tells Luna that he will act like Kuro throughout the day. He walks in the campus halls while people can't help but look at him with his new charismatic aura. He learns from the discussions in class that the spaces called gates started to appear several years ago, and that the humans who hunt the monsters from the gate while extracting valuable resources within are called seekers. There are so many people who aspire to be seekers, and he has been in the Sacred Imperial Academy since it is a school to train seekers. As he walks around the campus, he sees that the woman he encountered yesterday is training her ice element magic in the field. Now she knows that she is Zumi, the renowned student council president of the academy. She can tell from her target board that she is really good with magic. Just as he decides to investigate, the bullies from yesterday confront him. The leader threatens him, but he is not scared of him. So the bully becomes infuriated. He has been accusing Leo of being arrogant since yesterday. The leader then activates earth magic. Zumi appears and reminds the bully that using magic on school grounds is prohibited. This does not stop the bully, who is about to hit Leo with the rock he summoned. Leo counters with dark attribute magic, which makes the speeding rock disappear like a black hole when it comes near him. The leader of the bullies and Zumi are equally shot. As if nothing had happened, Leo walked away. Later, after school, Leo receives a note from the bullies that he should go to the training grounds. Luna advises him to ignore it, but he says he will go so he can reduce the number of hindrances. Since he has decided, Luna becomes eager to beat them up. He goes to the training grounds where the bullies are waiting for him. The leader challenges him to a one-on-one duel. Leo demands that if he wins, it means they will never bother him again. The leader laughs and wonders why he is being so brave when he was such a pushover before. Leo is getting impatient, so he tells him to cut the talk and fight already. The bully agrees, only for the leader's two minions to charge at Leo with their activated element magic. The leader tells him that he lied when he said it would be one-on-one. Leo anticipated this trick. He raises his hands towards his attackers, then activates dark magic, which repels them away like a strong push. The leader is shocked. Leo says he has no intention of ever falling for a sneak attack again. He also gathers more dark magic as he swears with fury that he will never forgive anyone who takes such a tactic. The leader of the bullies is confused as to what type of magic he is doing, since it does not seem like it is of any of the four categories of water, wind, fire, or earth. He asks Leo when someone as useless as him could use such powerful magic. Leo gets triggered by the word useless, so his power only grows stronger. The bully gets so intimidated that he uses flame magic on him. Leo is so quick that he is behind the bully in a flash. He taps him with dark energy on the shoulder, making the bully lose consciousness. Luna is impressed that he robbed the guy of his mana. He is glad that he ended the conflict with no complications. They suddenly hear horns everywhere. A voice around the campus then alerts everyone to evacuate because a Category Red gate has opened in the grounds. They repeat that it is the highest Category gate level. Zumi tells everyone to evacuate while also telling them that she will seal the gate herself. A staff member reminds her that no one should deal with a Category Red gate. Zumi tells her that she does not care about the rules, since leaving it open means the neighboring residents will suffer damage. She reminds the staff member that they are in the academy to deal with this kind of situation. She declares that she will seal the gate. Meanwhile, the Red Gate is unleashing an army of wolf monsters on the campus exterior. The students run away from it. One student attacks with earth magic, but the wolf just breaks it with its fangs. The wolves charge at him, but are blasted by ice magic before they can get near. He sees that it was Zumi who rescued him. She tells the students to get to their fellow students quickly. Zumi worries that there are too many students who have yet to evacuate and that the area is too close to the city. It leads her to the decision to enter the gate and defeat the boss inside. Leo and Luna see Zumi enter the gate. Leo asks the flirting girl what they need to do to close a gate. She informs him that they need to defeat the boss monster that controls the gate. It leads Leo to decide to go inside. Luna warns him that while his dark magic is strong, it also consumes too much mana. Leo tells her that he can't ignore a threat that will make many suffer. Luna is amazed at how kind he is. He charges straight to the gate without hesitation. Meanwhile, Zumi is in a cavern in the gate, and she has already defeated many wolf monsters with her ability. She admits to herself that it is not easy to take down so many monsters in a category red. A giant snake appears behind her. She looks behind but knows it is too late for her to do anything about it. Leo uses the dark magic of making giant claws appear around the snake, damaging it from multiple directions. Zumi sees from a distance that Leo has arrived. Zumi recognizes Leo as Kuro, and she thanks him for saving her from the giant snake. She asks him what kind of magic he just used and why he is so powerful. He tells her to forget about it and just prioritize closing the gate. She agrees and they keep moving. As they walk, Zumi thinks about how she has heard that Kuro has never won a mock battle and is placed last in the rankings. It makes her more curious about how he can use such powerful magic. They encounter more wolves, so Zumi drowns them with water magic. It impresses Leo that the top student in the academy is so strong. A giant one-eyed rock monster then appears. Leo evades its punch and counters by shooting a dark magic beam directly at its eye, which leads to the creature disintegrating. Zumi is impressed that he targeted the monster's weak point with a single shot. It makes her realize that he is not just formidable because of his unique magic, but also because he has the aura of a veteran mage who has been fighting for decades. They see a path forward. Once they cross the path, a giant dragon appears. Zumi recognizes it as the lava dragon and that it is classified as a highly dangerous monster in the textbooks. Leo warns her that the lava dragon will continuously attack with both fire and tail strikes at a far range. The dragon blasts them with its fire breath. They evade only for Zumi to see the tail coming for her. She evades again and throws giant icicles at the monster. It evaporates just before it even gets near the creature. It shocks the woman that a technique meant to be highly effective against the fire attribute got neutralized like that. Leo uses his deadly claw attack, but the dragon levitates before it can get its hooks on it. Leo asks Zumi if she can use more than just the water attribute, and she answers that she can. He asks that she slow down the dragon with her magic. She says she understands and trusts that Leo does the finishing move. Zumi activates wind magic and blasts the dragon with a tornado. Leo sees that the dragon is unable to move. He summons a swarm of black butterflies with his dark magic and sends them towards the dragon. With a snap of his finger, the butterflies explode like a series of bombs. As the smoke clears, they see that the dragon has been slain. Zumi congratulates him. They fist bump to cheer for their teamwork. They exit the gate and it disappears. They see that the slain monster corpses are slowly disappearing. They then hear a voice yelling at Zumi. A man in a suit appears to reprimand her for blatantly disregarding orders not to enter the category red gate. This man is the academy headmaster, Shido. Luna telepathically informs Leo that the angry man is the headmaster of the academy, and that he is renowned for building a fortune with the Sacred Imperial Academy. Leo thinks about the possibility that a man of his stature would be connected to Shark. Zumi apologizes to the headmaster and makes the excuse that she could not just stand by while people were in danger. Shido tells her that her sense of justice is not an excuse and that if she failed, the academy would have been held responsible for it. His lack of appreciation ticks off Leo, who tells the headmaster that he needs to describe her courage and resolve better than that. Shido has no idea who he is and says outsiders like him have no right to speak. Zumi replies that he is no outsider and is actually the one responsible for closing the category red gate. This makes Shido laugh, who just recognizes Leo as Kuro, the lowest-ranked student in the academy. He accuses Zumi of making an absurd joke, then he enters the car and leaves in a rush. Leo thinks about how he needs to look into Shido, regardless if he has ties to Shark or not. Leo and Luna return to the dorm room. Luna is still pissed off that the headmaster is acting all high and mighty. Leo sees it as evidence that shows how little people think of Kuro. Luna then sees Leo reading a book and asks what he is doing. He has the sense that the life of the boy he inhabits was mentally exhausting. The diary reads that Kuro was at his psychological limit since he went to the academy, expecting he could become a seeker to earn money for his little sister's medical expenses, only to realize that he has no talent for magic. Leo recalls all the threatening notes at Kuro's dorm room door and connects them to the diary's words of the boy being looked down on and oppressed. The diary continues to paint a picture of a boy who is always being bullied by students every single day. Leo sees that the pages have marks of tears from Kuro's constant crying. Luna can tell that Leo became solemn after reading. He looks outside the window at the moon and swears that he will show everyone what they deserve for putting Kuro in such a hard time. Meanwhile, Shido is in his office, looking at Kuro's record because he feels insulted that a failure like him dared to criticize him. She smiles at the thought of being able to expel him at any moment. Meanwhile, Zumi is in the middle of a shower and is still thinking about how powerful Leo is despite being Kuro, the lowest-ranking student in the academy. It makes her suspicious that something is going on. The next day, the student council president, Shuya, interrupts Leo while he is walking through the corridors. Shuya tells him that he has heard that he and Zumi sealed the gate yesterday and accuses him of taking advantage of the situation to loot for resources. He demands that a man with no ability like him stop causing trouble for the president. Leo tells him that his only intention was to seal the gate. Shuya knows of his low ranking in the academy and so accuses him of lying. Zumi sees Leo and approaches him. It leads Shuya to stop the conversation and leave. Zumi asks Leo what Shuya wanted from him, but he tells her to forget about it and instead asks why she was looking for him. She tells him that the headmaster called for him. Both go to the headmaster's office, where Shido orders Leo to drop out. Zumi defends Leo and asks the headmaster why. Shido replies that it is because Leo has the lowest practical score in the academy and has not won a single mock battle since he enrolled. He throws his record paper on the floor as he declares that students with no talent like him have no future and that this is his way of showing him mercy. Leo picks up the paper and suggests that he rescind the order to expel him if he proves his strength by winning every single mock battle he has scheduled this month. The idea insults Shido, but he looks at the mock battle schedule where he sees that he will eventually be matched up with Shuya and accepts his challenge. Leo smiles and declares that the bet has been decided. Leo returns to his dorm room where he and Luna look into his scheduled mock battles. Leo recalls how Zumi urged him to take back the bet since he is in danger of being expelled if he loses just one mock battle. She fears that once he battles Shuya, even he may lose. Leo thanked him for worrying about him, but sees the whole thing as a small price to pay for the headmaster to rescind his order. He also declared to her that he would show everyone that Kuro should not be pushed around. Luna wonders why he is even attending school in the first place. He answers that he needs to stay so he can step on Shark's tail. He goes on to think of how Shark and the headmaster are connected somehow. He sees the possibility that Shark is even possessing the headmaster. Luna doesn't see this as the case since he can sense beings from other dimensions when they are nearby. Leo takes this into account and plans to close more gates while chasing after Belfar and Shark. Luna shows sadness, urging Leo to ask what is wrong. She says that she feels guilty for having him deal with such a heavy burden. He replies that he is actually grateful to her, surprising her. He explains that she has given him a second chance to get his revenge on Shark and defeat Belfar. She tells Luna she has no reason to apologize. It makes the girl smile that it was Leo who was chosen for this mission. Leo refocuses on trying to rest to get ready for the mock battles. It makes Luna hyped up for it. She thinks about her hopes that Leo's wishes come true. The next day, the students gather in the training field for the mock battles. The student matched up with Leo is confident he can win against him. The crowd all cheer for Leo's opponent and expect him to win too. Leo simply sighs at the underestimation. The mock battle begins, and the opponent instantly unleashes his wind magic and throws it at Leo. As the smoke clears, he sees that Leo has disappeared. He thinks that he overdid it, that he must have blown him away. Leo appears behind him and defeats him with earth magic. The referee announces him the winner. The crowd is shocked that he just defeated the 23rd ranked student. Zumi is in the crowd, smiling at the victory. Meanwhile, Shuya is also watching and is observing with no reaction. Luna is high above, commenting on how the opponent was so beneath Leo that he did not even need to use dark attribute magic. She is hyped to know that everyone will learn how powerful her master is. Again and again, Leo wins his matches. Headmaster Shido is in his office, furious that he has been winning. He ponders the idea that Leo really did close the category red gate, but then dismisses the notion. He then hears a knock on the door, so he lets the person in. Shuya enters and asks why he called for him. Shido asks that he fight Leo with his full strength in the mock battle. Shuya says he can't imagine ever losing to the guy. He tells him that he has studied all of his mock battles so far and realizes that he can only do earth attribute magic. He deduces that this means he has no chance against him. Shida smiles, satisfied that he does not need to worry. Shuya comes out of the office, wondering why he is so cautious against Leo. Regardless, he still does not see how he can lose against him. Meanwhile, Leo has won another match. This time, everyone is talking about how he became so strong. Zumi hands him a bottle of water to support him. Shuya sees them talking and it makes him angry. Later on, the final battle between Leo and Shuya is about to begin with both contestants facing each other in the ring. Shuya warns Leo not to get cocky just because he has won every battle so far. He asks if he plans to win against him and Leo replies that he does. Shuya feels insulted that he thinks that and declares that he will make him regret saying that. Zumi, Shido, and Leo are at the edge of their seats. The referee begins the match. Shuya is charging his magic while asking how a bottom ranker like Leo suddenly went through an awakening. He ponders that he must have planned to hide his abilities and draw attention by racking up consecutive wins, but he sees this as ridiculous. It only makes him want to tear his mask off even more. Shuya readies the high-rank wind attribute magic of creating a bow and arrow made of lightning. He fires multiple lightning arrows. Leo counters by creating a wall of earth that the arrows hit. It shocks Shuya that his spell activated quickly enough to block his arrows. The crowd is equally shocked. Shuya calms himself down and reminds himself that he can only do earth magic. He activates earth attribute magic and lets rocks rain on his opponent. Leo counters by sending them away with a tornado. Shuya is shocked that he just used wind magic. The crowd goes wild. They then realize that he just used wind magic and get confused. Zumi explains that it is rare for wizards to get multiple attributes because it already takes a lifetime just to master a single attribute. Knowing this only makes Zumi more impressed with Leo. Shuya tells Leo that he should not be able to use magic aside from earth magic. Leo replies that he is looking down on people too much. While he is good with magic, his attitude still has a long way to go. Shuya replies that he is the one who is getting ahead of himself. He shares that he only acknowledges people who are capable and that he only acknowledges Zumi in the entire school. As he charges up his next attack, he tells him that he has been trying hard to get close to Zumi and become someone worthy of standing by her side. He warns his opponent not to think for a second that he is his equal. The field glows with Shuya's power. The crowd knows that the vice president is about to unleash his special high-ranking water attribute magic. Shuya creates ice on the floor beneath Leo and traps him in the center of a blizzard tornado that freezes him in a wall of ice. Shuya anticipates that no wind or earth magic can counter this move. A spark of fire lights up within the ice. Slowly, the ice cracks. It then explodes, revealing that Leo is still standing. Shuya finds it impossible that he can use 3 attributes. Leo tells him that he is not limited to just 3 and then creates a boulder made of ice on top of Shuya and then breaks it to let the pieces rain on the opponent. Shuya bears the avalanche of attacks. By the time it ends, his body is already exhausted. Leo gives him the advice of focusing on what he must accomplish. He then thinks about the children at the orphanage and continues to tell Shuya that even when he accomplishes everything he ever wanted, there are still things he can't reach. It takes Shuya every ounce of strength to ask who he is, so he falls to the floor immediately after. Leo continues to say that even he has things left to do. The referee announces Leo to be the winner. Later, Shido is in his office enraged that Leo won every battle, and it is revealed that he has 4 attributes. He remembers Zumi telling him that Leo was the reason they closed the category red gate. His pride can't make him accept that she was telling the truth. He dials his phone and puts it beside his ear while swearing that he will definitely have the student expelled. As he says this, it is revealed that he has torn up his copy of Leo's school record and is burning it with his used cigar. Meanwhile, in the dorm room, Leo is still busy with a notebook while Luna is already sleeping. He thinks about how he already solved the problem of the headmaster trying to expel him and how he should move on. In his notebook, he takes note of his missions to both find out Shido's connection with Prince Shark as well as his other mission of finding out more about the Demon King Belfar. He wants to probe Shido for information, but the headmaster is currently out on a business trip. This leads him to the first priority of finding out why the gates have appeared. He plans to seal more gates to lure those connected to Belfar out of their hiding spots. The next day, Leo is in class. A new teacher appears. The teacher writes his name, Hashi, on the board while announcing to the students that he has been appointed to their class. He seems so nice and handsome that the female students have a crush on him. Leo, however, is suspicious of him. Later at recess, all the students in the cafeteria are talking about Leo and how strong he was in the mock battles. Meanwhile, Leo is at his table eating alone. Zumi approaches him and asks if she can sit at his table. She praises him for his performance in the mock battles. She also thanks him for what he did for Shio. She informs him that his words of advice have reached him. She can't forgive the headmaster and shares her opinion that she thinks he acted unreasonably. Leo asks what kind of person the headmaster is, so she shares that he was a former seeker and is rumored to have shady connections. Leo homes in on the fact that he is rumored to be shady. The TV screens then alert the students that multiple gates have been appearing, and that they are only lucky that all of them have been closed quickly. Leo is on high alert. He remembers Luna telling him that leaving the gates open means causing monsters to run rampant across the globe. He asks Zumi to look into something for him. The girl is curious. Later at night, Leo is on an empty street. Luna reviews how he has been sealing the gates moments after they appeared and shares her opinion that he thinks he is so cool for keeping it a secret. A category green gate appears in front of them. They enter it and find that it leads to a world filled with a forest of trees. Leo slays many monsters as he travels. They get to the deepest area in the forest but find that there are no monsters here. Something suddenly grabs Luna and flies to the sky with her. Luna screams, seeing that the creature is a giant bat humanoid that looks like it is about to eat her. She struggles as she tries to get away. Leo activates dark attribute magic to summon claws, and while the creature evades by flying higher from the tree it was hanging on, it eventually hits the creature to its death, without harming Luna. Luna is so grateful that she puts Leo in a tight embrace. He tells Luna that he is so adept at ambushing now that he can activate spells quickly by instinct. Luna is happy to see that her master has not missed a step. With the boss defeated, they exit the gate. Luna is happy that they closed it before it could lead to any damage. Suddenly, rocks rain down on Leo, which he manages to evade. He looks high and spots a figure on a building rooftop. The man on the roof is revealed to wear a hood and a mask to hide his identity. He tells Leo that he is looking forward to hunting him. Leo wonders who he is. He urges Luna to hide while he fights the guy. He asks his attacker who he is and why he attacked. The hooded man says he has no reason to answer his questions and throws fireballs at him. Leo evades the rain of fire, but with a wave of the caster's hand, he curves the path of the fireballs to make them follow their target. The mystery man anticipates that he is finished. Leo activates dark attribute magic, which creates a barrier that blocks the fireballs. The mystery man has no idea what kind of magic used. Leo swears not to let him get away and activates Deadly Claw, which summons dark claws that surround the man. The man evades by jumping up before the claws spear him. He, however, gets stabbed on his right wrist. The man throws a smoke grenade, which covers his escape. Later in the dorm room, Leo wonders if his attacker is connected to someone in the academy somehow. He swears to catch the man and wring every bit of information out of him. The next day, Leo is in the middle of class. He observes that the teacher Hashi's writing on the board seems different. After class, Hashi approaches him and tells him that he has heard of him as the student who closed a category red gate. Leo tells him that the headmaster did not believe it. Hashi replies that he believes him because of his performance during his mock battles. He praises him by telling him how he is looking forward to more of his performances in the future. As Hashi leaves, his face secretly turns more evil. Later at night, the mystery man stalking Leo sees him entering category green gate while he hides in a nearby abandoned building. He swears to pay back Leo for the wound he caused in their last meeting. Just to be safe, he has his walkie-talkie ready. A few seconds later, Leo comes out of the gate. It surprises the stalker that he managed to clear a category gate in such a short time. He presses the walkie-talkie and orders his men to attack. Similarly, hooded and masked men appear and surround Leo. They combine their powers, putting Leo in the center of an intense explosion. The lead mystery man laughs seeing him destroyed from his abandoned building hideout. He tells his men through the walkie-talkie to check their target's body just in case. He hears through the walkie-talkie his men screaming in pain. He wonders how he could have survived the explosion. He calms himself down and tells himself that at least he still has no idea where he is hiding. Leo then appears behind him. Leo reveals to him that he has a partner whom he asked to look around to check for anything suspicious. Meanwhile, Luna is hiding as a small orb of light at the upper corner of the window just outside. Leo unleashes wind magic, which blows away the mystery man's hood and mask. As he expected, it is Hashi. Hashi asks how he knew, so Leo explains that he used to write with his right hand on the board in class, but used his left arm instead earlier today. He elaborates that he figured it was because his right arm sustained a heavy injury the last time they battled. He recalls how he asked Zumi for the teacher's background, and how he learned that he was a former seeker whose specialty is the homing fire magic he used yesterday. He asks Hashi if he has found his resolve. Having uncovered the identity of his attacker, Leo was now determined to understand why he was being targeted. For some reason, Hashi smiled and began laughing hysterically, commending him for figuring out who he was. Unfortunately, he wasn't going to let an arrogant student win against him and summoned a huge ball of flames. Molten rocks fell from the sky, and the young man had no escape as the burning earth surrounded him. After all, that same power was strong enough to slaughter thousands of monsters, telling him to burn and disappear without a trace. Hashi shot his flames forward. As expected, Leo stood his ground unfazed. If it's that certain spell he's talking about, then the young mage knows it full well. Watching him raise his hand and call fire to his palms, the teacher realized what was happening, but couldn't believe that he was capable of it. The fire attribute spell is cast, and an identical fireball, blazing like crimson, was launched forward to clash against the initial spell. The collision causes a huge explosion, and Hashi was still in disbelief that he just cast the highest tier of fire magic. Leo corrects him, saying such spells are only intermediate-ranked magic at best. The comment offends the seeker, who's now enraged and tells him to stop spouting nonsense. He earlier talked about killing thousands of monsters with it, but now his enemy was someone who had slain hundreds of thousands of monsters alone. He grips the arrogant teacher by the neck and unleashes dark magic as he raises him to the sky. Hashi doesn't know what was happening, but could feel the mana within him being gradually drained away. The man could gag and struggle, unable to move his body the way he wants to. Leo was successful in this mission as well, but there was one other thing to do. Staring into his assailants, he demands to know if Shido was the one who ordered the attack. Although silent, his shifty eyes and trembling mouth confirms it. Caught in the act, Hashi breaks, insisting that he was ordered to get rid of anyone closing the gates. If that was the goal of his enemy, then it only means that the headmaster really is on Belfar's side. But then why would he create an institution that trains wizards? The only thing certain now is that Shido was an important piece of the puzzle. Unfortunately, even if he hands Hashi over, the target will act like he doesn't know anything. With the intention of driving him into a corner, Leo captures and binds the fake teacher for now. If things go all according to plan, he'll be able to expose the one behind it all soon enough. The night was filled with rain, and a car made its way through the gates of a regal manor. Despite the raging lightning, a familiar figure walked into the house. There, he walked through the lonesome corridors, already getting an eerie feeling from the atmosphere. He's been there a lot, but Shido just couldn't get used to it. Called to enter, the headmaster bowed politely as he announced his arrival. Without even turning to greet him, a man drank his wine and asks for a report. Fortunately, the current situation is favorable enough to not cause any problem. Asked if there are any other changes, the school head remembers one student he's curious about. He goes on about Leo suddenly becoming powerful, like a completely different person. Furthermore, the young one now seems to use all 4 abilities out of nowhere. Hearing his boss sigh, Shido assures that there's nothing to worry about, as he had already sent someone to handle it. Intrigued, the man suddenly stood up, wanting to hear more of that story. The lightning flashed, revealing the familiar face of a sinister being. A student who was considered the weakest suddenly began showing overwhelming talent. If that really is the case, then he might just be an unpredictable factor. Again, Shido assures that he's already sent someone to take care of their concern. The boss then gives him a glare and asks why that someone is yet to contact him about the successful mission. Brought to his senses, the headmaster doubts it but makes an important call. Bound and alone in the building, Hashi's phone rang continuously. As he wasn't answering, Shido finally realizes that his target might have won the encounter. At this point, it was easy to understand that the assassination must have failed. Surprised by the unexpected situation, he tries to think of a way to handle it. The boss speaks first, saying there's a perfectly usable method left. If the person in question really was such an amazing wizard, then they just have to use the weak and vulnerable students as bait. Shido smiled, excited as he might be granted permission to something enjoyable. He's tossed a ring. It might be a bit early, but they do have to move their experiment on to the next phase. Grinning in delight, the headmaster asks to leave it to him. After all, it's the reason he gathered and trained so many wizards in the academy. Taking his seat once more, the man happily expected several interesting developments. He was finally in a good mood again, and it was happening just in time for the release of the Black Gate. The next day, Shido called Leo to his office and said he might have made a mistake with his assessment. As such, he'd like to apologize for it along with the rude attitude he's shown so far. His change might be sudden, but the principal insists that those who excel must be recognized. The young man must be aware of the fact that gates have been appearing more frequently. As such, he wants him to accompany Zumi and help her close the gates. This would entail them patrolling the areas involved, so Leo immediately accepts. Shido is glad that he's quick on the uptake and extends his hand to leave things to the boy, who accepts the gesture and responsibility. He knows the man was planning something, but he decides to play along for now. After all, he has a plan of his own and secretly uses his dark magic during the handshake. Later on, he tells Zumi that it was all a trap. To her surprise, he says he's confirmed that the headmaster ordered Hashi to attack him. The details of what he does and doesn't know are unclear, but it's certain he's being targeted. Unfortunately, he couldn't reject the request earlier as they can't actually leave the gates unchecked. What's more, his plan is for him and him alone, so he'll be asking her to forego the patrol. Zumi refuses the attempt to push her away, unwilling to turn a blind eye to evil happening right in front of her. Even Luna acknowledges that she isn't the type to give in, so he has no choice but to accept. They start moving as soon as the sun begins to set. They couldn't sense the presence of any gates for a long while, so Leo suddenly called to his partner, wondering if she didn't feel any fear towards the gates. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't afraid, but in order to fight against those who threaten the world, she was willing to overcome it. This is also the reason she decided to become a wizard. Hearing her words, the former hero is reminded of how he acted before he set out to defeat the Demon King. He turns to her, full of intrigue. Zumi says she'll also have much more strength to fight as long as he's by her side. Just then, a dark and overpowering gate appeared behind her, brimming with more power than anything they've ever encountered before. Both of them are surprised, especially because of the unprecedented color, and that moment of surprise quickly turns the tides. Magic shot out of the gate and quickly wrapped the young woman with tight bindings. They tried to struggle and hold on, but she was already being pulled inside with no way to fight. Leo fails to make it in time and can only watch as she's brought to another dimension. The Black Gate sent waves of overwhelming and ominous power, but that doesn't matter now as he had to do all he can to save his comrade's life. Meanwhile, Shido watched from far away, delighted to see the events unfold. With the girl taken, the bait has been set and he just has to wait and see how the target is going to react. Every part of the plan up until now has been leading to the appearance of the Black Gate. The Lord of the Gate is a frightening monster that preys on those with large amounts of mana. With that said, how was Leo going to fare against such an enemy? Luna pulls the great wizard back, asking him to wait for a moment. She knows the place before them is likely more dangerous than a Category Red Gate. The fact that it appeared in the spot they were told to patrol is too good to be true. In other words, it's highly probable that Shido set it up with the intention of trapping them. It's undeniably dangerous, but there was no chance of him leaving Zumi there alone. Just then, Luna points forward, putting his attention on the dragon monsters coming out of the gate. Arrows of light shot forward, taking them all out in one fell swoop. To Leo's surprise, he sees Shuya, panting after shooting enemies down in such a hurry. He wastes no time and demands to know what happened all of a sudden. The vice president exclaimed upon hearing that Zumi was alone inside. Unfortunately, monsters continue to pour out and they can't head in without dealing with them first. Shia volunteers to handle things outside while he saves the council president. Understanding, the person most suited to save their comrade apologized and expressed his gratitude before running in. Although frustrated that it isn't him, the vice leaves it in the hotshot student's hands and continues notches another arrow to stand against the overflowing monsters. Meanwhile, Leo found himself in a dark and desolate land. They don't have the luxury of worrying about the environment, so the partners push forward. All the enemies they come across are actually strong enough to be considered bosses in other gates. Fortunately, it isn't a problem for him. The great wizard uses his dark magic and conjures the calamity scythe of the underworld. A dragon foolishly charges at him and is brutally cut into pieces with one big swing of the weapon. Getting ready, he says he has no time to waste on dealing with them meticulously. They will make way whether they like it or not. Shido watches all this unfold from the comfort of his surveillance room. The student should have just run away, but instead chose to jump straight to his death. Leo eventually reaches a huge staircase, which must lead to the gate's deepest part. It was an arduous journey there, and Luna was worried about her partner. He assures her that it'll be fine, having faced similar situations in the depths of hell alone. Unable to deny it, the guide says that all that's left to do now was save Zumi. Stealing his resolve once more, he stepped forward. Zumi opened her eyes in a daze and found herself wrapped in the monster's tentacles, bound tightly and unable to move. Her shock grows as she sees the boss staring menacingly from behind. She struggles and wriggles, but getting out of its grip was simply impossible. To make things worse, it felt like something was being drained out from her body. The number of casualties would be massive if it somehow made its way to the outside world. Even now, she worries and wonders if Leo managed to get away safely, but quickly manages a smile, certain that he wouldn't run away. In that case, she can't give up either and starts to cast whatever magic might work. However, the mana gathering in her hands instantly fizzled out, refusing to activate. It was at that moment that she realized that the monster was draining her mana. It roared and opened its mouth wide as if ready to devour her completely. There was no way a certain someone was letting that happen. A dark scythe pierced through the appendage wrapping around the girl. Launched into the air, it completely cuts the tentacle apart. Zumi sees it wrapped in a familiar magic and an unmistakable voice suddenly apologizes to her, saying he got there late. A weak smile of relief spreads across her face. As expected, Leo was there to save her, not even spending a moment to think about escaping alone. Shido reports to his boss with a smile. The conjuring of the Dark Gate was a success, and the problematic student was surely done for. All that's left to do was allow the two to become the gate boss sustenance. Zumi stares at her classmate weakly, glad that he really came to save her. Luna warns Leo about the tentacles, which were somehow absorbing their target's mana. It's a strange-looking monster, which he's never even seen in the other world. However, he can't let himself falter just because of an unfamiliar beam. The enemy makes the first move and launches a strike right at him. He dodges just in time and sees the ground completely wrecked from the hit. It'd be over for him if he gets hit. Intending to aim at the main body instead, he activates his dark magic. The land shook, and in a matter of seconds, spikes of pure magic shot up and impaled the boss. Luna excitedly praises him, but the attack wasn't as successful as it looked, and the main body was completely unharmed. Enraged, the monster drove its severed tentacles deep into the ground. As he wondered what was happening, his partner tells him to watch out from behind. The warning allows him to dodge just in time, only suffering a small wound to the face. Zumi worries, but he assures her that it's okay and wasn't a direct hit. That said, it's a pain as he has no idea how the new enemy moves and attacks. Another tentacle sprouted from the ground, but he's too fast and quickly cuts it apart right away. However, the monster does not give up on trying to kill him, but the mage doesn't allow himself to be done in either. Leo has been fighting non-stop since he entered the gate and must be running out of mana. Judging by Azumi's state, she doesn't have much left in her either. If he tries to approach the main body now, he'll just be a target for the mana-draining tentacles. As her thoughts began to run wild, he speaks in a calm voice and assures that it's no problem. Tossing the scythe onto the ground, he says he'll just get in next time and launched himself right at the enemy. Zumi watched as he got closer by the second and was soon beside the main body. As Luna expected, her partner quickly became subject to a flurry of attacks, but he stood his ground and activated his dark magic to devour everything. Using the appendages as a bridge, he ran up to close the gap between them. The boss tries to do something to retaliate, but there was no way Leo was going to just let it. He attacks again, unleashing a barrage of blasts, and finally arrives inches from its eye. Nearing the end of the battle, he casts the Oath of the Void and punches the enemy's weak spot. With that one punch, the boss collapsed and its body started to rapidly disintegrate. Crumbling away, Zumi is released from its clutches and falls from the sky. Leo jumps up to catch her mid-air and perfectly lands on the ground with a girl in his arms. Asked if she's okay, the council president smiles at him with tender eyes and says she's glad that he actually came to save her life. Meanwhile, alarms blared in Shido's surveillance room, informing him the Black Gate was disappearing. Realizing what it might mean, the headmaster couldn't believe it. Was it really possible for Leo to defeat the gate's boss? As a last resort, he rummages in his pockets for the ring his employer provided. A dark energy was emanating, but he put it on with a crazed expression. Equipped with an entire set, he vows to eliminate the student with his own hands. However, it seems his target had the same idea of dealing with him directly. Shido turns around and sees a figure wrapped in absolute darkness. Leo appeared, teleporting right into his room. Gunning for him was within expectations, but dragging Zumi into the mess was nothing but foolish. The headmaster questions how he found and got to him, but the enraged young man had no words for irredeemable and unforgivable trash like him. Shido is shocked and questions how the student suddenly showed up before him. Leo was able to teleport there after leaving a magic mark on the man's body. Thinking back to when it could have happened, he remembers getting an odd feeling just before summoning the gate. The headmaster grit his teeth in anger, never having heard of such magic before. Now, it was the young man's turn to ask questions, and what he wanted to know first is if he really is the person who opened the Black Gate. That said, there's no point in denying it, as the monitors behind him already confirmed the suspicion. He built the Magic Academy for years on end, so why was he doing this all of a sudden? The question manages to get a sly smile out of Shido. The main purpose of the institution was to serve as bait. To him, the students are nothing more than live feed for the monsters in the gate. No longer hiding it, he proudly announces himself as the man who summoned the Black Gate. By sowing chaos, he can gain unparalleled power. Hearing the arrogant declaration, Leo understands that he intended to sacrifice Zumi along with all the other students. He knew the man was trash, but this filth was way beyond his expectations. Without losing the smirk on his face, Shido tells him to say what he wants and begins to conjure flames from his palms. Swinging forward, the former seeker sends several fireballs at the young man, heating the room up with its blaze. However, Leo doesn't even bat an eye as he faces the spells down, instead, using his own magic to devour the flames before they hit. Shido stood there, frozen in shock and unable to comprehend how the fire vanished right before his very eyes. Is that really all he could do? For someone who talks so big, such weak sparks won't even burn his target. Like a dog, he scowled and snarled angrily, but was already running on fumes. The headmaster summoned fire again, and was certain that this spell was going to turn him to ash. Launching a scorching blast of flames forward, he tells the arrogant student to die. The flames separate and come at him from different directions, but Leo just opens his palms up. Shido stared in confusion, not knowing what to expect this time. A purple barrier of dark magic emerged, but the light bounced off it unlike with the other spells. As soon as the flame blasts hit, they reflected right back at the caster. The headmaster is shocked by the unexpected counter and jumps back out of pure instinct and reflex. He's sent farther back by the explosion and emerges from the smoke with singed clothes and sooty skin. The situation was completely unbelievable, and there was no way it was happening. A student who was once seen as the Academy's biggest failure was now defeating him as if he was a complete amateur. Refusing to be done in so easily, Shido crawls up his devices, determined to cause chaos by opening more gates. However, a sharp beam pierces through his hand, stopping him in his tracks. As he screamed in pain, Leo watched and finally understood that his rings are the triggers for the gates. Desperate, the headmaster tries to talk and negotiate, but couldn't get too far with the discussion as a fist was driven across his cheek. He's sent flying across the room and nearly loses his consciousness from just one hit. The young man was not done with him yet and propped him back up by the collar of his shirt. He was clearly told that forgiveness and mercy were not options. All that's left to do for the pawn was talk and expose the real mastermind behind it all. As he was finally about to talk, a sharp pain struck Shido's heart. He jerks and gags for a few moments but soon stops moving and falls limply on the floor. Looking at his body on the ground, Leo understood that his target wasn't going to step out of the shadows so easily. Still in the comfort of his home, the real boss says he's lost another servant, but it was not a big deal. The young mage might have won this battle, but the war was far from being over. Later on, Zumi is given a rundown of what happened after the Black Gate closed. Shido was cornered, but suddenly blacked out and had no memory after waking up. Even though he was handed over to the authorities, the mastermind behind the gates was still at large and might have other subjects around. The odds of Shark being involved in the entire thing was high, and even Luna knows they can't let their guard down. Brooding and looking at the far distance, Leo vows to make the traitorous prince pay one day. It was supposed to be a peaceful night of sleep, but Leo was hit with painful nightmares of his battle against the previous world's demon king. He even remembers the children from the orphanage, who looked forward to learning magic from him. Lastly, he remembers Shark's smile as they agreed to work together, and how he smiled all the same while announcing that he slaughtered all the orphans. The old hero jolted up from his bed, calming himself down from the endless nightmares. He looks out and sees the familiar insignia on the flag. Ever since Shido was locked up, his suspicion of a bigger mastermind was only confirmed. Given the signs, he's certain that Shark was watching from close by. Getting ready for another day of school, Leo tells the prince to wait, as he intends to deliver his punishment sooner than later. The sun shined down on the academy, and while the students were going about their day as usual, heads turned as a flashily dressed man crossed the hallways. It seems to be the new director. He was arriving that day, and Leo was sure to meet him soon. With that said, he has to dig everything up about the newcomer. Thanks to Zumi's family, she's already met him a couple times as a child. His name is Cole and is a former instructor for the elite mage corps. The man is pretty seasoned in battle and has closed quite a few gates himself. That's all well and good, but they had no idea what kind of person he really is and still had to learn more about him. Knocking on the door, Zumi enters the director's room and apologizes for the intrusion. Having been expecting them already, Cole turns to the students and, with a shockingly jolly demeanor, greets them with open arms. Leo is stunned by the unexpected attitude, but manages to exchange pleasantries. The man gives a big smile as he welcomes them again. Even Luna notices his overly cheerful energy, so he asks Zumi if he's always like that. He's already been told a few things about the new headmaster, but can now confirm that he was sent by the specialized mage corps, Saber. It's an elite unit meant to deal with gate openings and shield people from disaster. After graduating from the academy, many will join the corps, but only a few will be called by Saber. Again, putting the spotlight on himself, Cole says, this only proves his credentials and skill, as he personally holds a solid position within the organization. Watching him laugh proudly, Leo realizes that he's also quite the vain man. Zumi puts things back on track and reminds him that he has something to say to the boy. The headmaster suddenly gets all serious and brings up how the world and its people are constantly threatened by gates. This is standard knowledge for students. What they don't know is that Saber is desperately short on young and strong fighters. Until recently, the city was fairly safe as the association managed the gates just fine. But that changed with the incident a few days ago, which was the unthinkable appearance of a black gate. Since the top-class threat opened, the elite corps could no longer ignore the city, which is also the main reason Cole was dispatched there. All Saber executives agreed that black gates are far deadlier than the red ones they're used to. If its demons were to breach their world, hundreds of thousands of innocents could die. Aside from that, the danger in the city has generally increased as well, but the organization is still understaffed. To tackle this issue, he wants to ask the young man for his help. It's obviously because Leo managed to help Zumi seal the gate. Cole has already read the report on what happened in the other dimension, and the follow-up investigation indicated that not even Saber's strongest had the power to do what they did. For this reason, he's turning to the student regardless of how young he was for a clear sky and the protection of the innocent. They need him to lend his strength. Leo takes his extended hand, accepting the request with pleasure and without hesitation. Zumi was about to explain that the boy did it all by himself, but sirens blared incessantly, alerting them to the presence of a red gate near the academy. They turned to the headmaster and await his orders. Smiling, Cole says this is the perfect opportunity to see their skills for himself. The council president is hesitant to go unprepared, but Leo was sure that they could handle it. He tells the headmaster to wait for their safe return and walk away to complete their first mission. Soon enough, they were face to face with the raging red gate. As they got ready to enter, a familiar voice cut through the shrieking wind, saying he expected them to be there for some reason. Shuya has arrived and wants to enter the gate together. They're surprised by his unexpected presence, but he insists that working as a group would be faster. Glad to have another skilled seeker on board, Leo smiles and they step through to begin the sealing. Stepping in, the group marks their first time storming a gate together. Using this red category, Cole wants to see what their powers are capable of. It was similar to Leo's old world, where he earned endless amounts of trust and gathered more allies to help fight by his side. Now, cooperating with the two classmates was imperative for their future battles as well. With that said, he leads the way forward and commences the assault. Rushing through a dark tunnel, lit only by bioluminescent spots, they see enemies almost immediately. The area was filled with high-level monsters that would kill average seekers. Far from that demographic, the group decides to wipe them all out. Zumi moves ahead and aims to take the wolf-type beasts first. She launches ice lances, which speed towards the targets and subject them to a barrage of hard hits. Unfortunately, one enemy manages to move past it and pounces at the defenseless girl. A beam of purple light flashed and shot right through the beast's vulnerable body. Leo saves his comrade in time, but also finds himself in a difficult spot as a golem tries to crush him. Acting fast, he calls to Shuya and tells him to aim right at its eyes. The vice president was ready for it and had already notched several arrows of light. Letting them go, bolts of lightning shoot forward and break through the monster's weak points. It screamed and jumped back in pain, but their worries weren't over yet with all the bat monsters still flying around. As confident as ever, Leo says there's nothing to fear and gathers his dark magic into a dense ball between his palms. Reaching its limit, he lets loose and sets it off, sending a huge shockwave of pure magic throughout the perimeter. The mana cuts the bats apart and soon enough, there were no monsters left standing. They praise the impressive display of power, just as expected of him. Feeling inefficient, the two others apologize for making him cover for them and even for reacting too slowly. Leo is aware of how important this moment is and assures his comrades that they did great. That said, they can't help but ask about the spell he just used to defeat the enemies. Aside from being an attribute unfamiliar to the common man, it also held great power. It doesn't seem like ordinary magic at all. Shuya turns to Zumi and wonders if she knows about it and is told that she's seen it a handful of times. She's also been meaning to ask about it but has never gotten the perfect chance. With this, Lean finally reveals the truth about his dark attribute magic. They're visibly confused, but since they don't have time to waste, he briefly explains that it's a power outside of the four main elements. He hid it during the mock battles, particularly because there were too many people who'd see. Regardless, the priority now was taking the boss down, so they had to keep moving forward. Zumi stays silent, but acknowledges the amount of training he must have gone through to reach such skill. There are so many questions about him on her mind, but she'd rather he tell her himself. Consequently, she feels arrogant to even think that she's worthy of such knowledge. After a while of walking around, they encounter a colossal monster, which was unmistakably the boss of the gate. In the old world, the crystal dragon caused trouble for others with its exceptionally hard armor. Knowing what to do, Leo asks his comrades to attack the enemy's legs from behind. The two nod in agreement and they immediately get to work. The dark attribute user charges ahead on his own and closes the gap between him and the enemy in an instant. Following his instructions, the council members cast ice magic together. Their combined power acts fast, causing the dragon to find its legs frozen in place. With this, Leo was free to leap up and aim directly without worry of missing. He summons his dark scythe and, like the grim reaper of death, dives and swings his blade down the monster's neck. Severed without any resistance, the dragon's head falls to the ground. It was made of pure crystal, and the two couldn't believe that he just sliced it apart in one try. Such is the power of dark magic, insurmountable and consistently unbelievable. Waiting right outside the gate was Cole, who turns and is surprised to see the students return so soon. Exchanging greetings, he's elated as they surpass all his expectations. He also dealt with the monsters that made it out, but they were no problem at all. While Shuya's presence was unexpected, he's glad that things went smoothly. The sealing mission for the Red Gate was a success in the end, and it's a magnificent result for students of the Academy. Moving on, Leo addresses the headmaster and says he has something he'd like to propose. It was certain that they would have to respond faster to emerging gates in the future. As such, the three of them agreed to make an official clan and would like official responsibility and jurisdiction to seal those gates. A clan of just 3 people to seal gates was unheard of. But if Saber was short on manpower, Leo is sure they can make a difference as a team. Cole genuinely thinks about it for a moment. There's no precedent of such a situation, but they might just be strong enough to pull it off. Amused and intrigued, he gives his approval and tells them to do what they want. The headmaster even promises to use his authority to count their achievements to their grades. With all that settled, the trio smiles and marks their first day as a clan. They regroup later on and gather around a small tablet showing a map of the gates Leo sealed. Staring at it, he hopes to find some sort of pattern to it all. The two couldn't fathom the amount, as he says he did it all on his own. There were rumors of someone conquering the gates, but they didn't realize it was him all along. As impressive as it is far too reckless to continue moving this way, and Luna agrees. Fortunately, they're now working in one clan and are there to help each other out. He smiled in agreement, and so did the goddess messenger as she watched him trust others again. With the gates popping up so often, the problem aside from the monsters is the mana seeping out. Leo first heard about it from Luna after arriving in this new world. Under its influence, some magical powers might awaken and is also the source of abilities. However, for those who lack the necessary gifts, it acts as deadly poison to the body. In other words, they have to prevent too much from leaking out and endangering the public. They have to cut the risks down from its very roots. Night comes soon enough and the newly made clan begins their patrol. Going around for a while, they come across a bunch of Saber personnel, patrolling just like they are. It seems in line with what Cole said about the organization increasing surveillance in the area. They couldn't help but look at the mages, supposedly an elite cut above the rest. Leo calls to his distracted comrades and says it's finally appeared. A few beats later, the Saber mages also get an alert from their radio and are promptly informed about a red gate opening just 5 kilometers to the southwest. Confirming the location, all units moved out immediately. It hasn't been all that long, but the city was already blazing and in chaos. The gate is surging with power, and there are still civilians at risk nearby. A child trips and falls from her mother's grasp. This momentary mistake amid the chaos was deadly, as a wolf monster pounced to immediately devour the vulnerable child. Just then, Leo casts his magic and immediately takes the beast out, saving the girl and letting her reunite safely with her parent. They thank him profusely, but he's just glad that he could help them in time. It looks like Saber was arriving as well, so the small clan decides to let them handle the outside while they head for the gate. Watching them move forward, the girl they just saved couldn't help but stare in wonder and amazement. The mages do their best and steadily eliminate the monsters while evacuating civilians. However, there was no end to them, so the unit was just about to call a raid team. Leo stepped forward, confirming their identity and introducing their group as the bunch of students operating under Principal Cole's approval. It seems that Saber has heard of them from their instructor along with a few whispers. For now, they talk about the report on the current situation. A raid squad actually entered the gate, but they had just lost contact with them. One member argues that the situation didn't seem normal and thinks something bad has happened. They couldn't send a rescue team either, as they are too busy handling the monsters spilling out. Evacuating civilians is their top priority, and their comrades inside entered knowing that risk. The trio shares knowing glances and nods. Taking the lead, Leo asked them to contain the spill while their clan handles the situation inside. The man was in disbelief, arguing that it's too risky for a bunch of students, but the young ones were ignoring his words and already walking toward the gate. At that moment, Cole also arrived, telling his subordinate that there's no need to worry about them. They're youth with vast potential, but more than being exceptional and talented mages, they possess immense resolve and a true sense of duty. Inside, the group finds themselves in a swamp with thick fog, obscuring most of their vision immediately. Regardless, they know what they have to do no matter what. As it was their first official raid as a clan, they fully intended to go all out. Rushing deep into the gate, the students see a bunch of fallen monsters and wonder if they were taken out by the missing squad. If even the elite unit was taken off guard, they can only hope that they're still alive. For now, they have to do whatever it takes, regardless of how nasty the boss might be. Zumi is sure they can do it with Leo's dark magic presence in general. But if they always lean on the young mage, then what's the point of forming a clan? Both comrades refused to lag farther behind and vowed to prove their strength by catching up sooner or later. Fortunately, the missing squad was still alive, but they were locked in battle against a powerful enemy. They gather fireballs into their palms and launch them at the target, but its slimy body forms a dense barrier that completely blocks the attack. The captain curses it in frustration, and an injured member tells them to leave him behind, distracted and telling him that it's nonsense. The man belatedly notices the enemy attacking. Its fast tentacles shoot towards them, and the squad does their best to raise a shield in time. They unfortunately don't make it in time, and almost everyone takes a direct hit that sends them flying away. The only one spared is the young seeker, who was injured and telling them to leave. Knowing his comrades were covering for him, he starts to blame himself. Not having the patience for self-pity, the boss strikes and targets him this time, but a certain group was not going to let that happen. Magic spells flew forward, cutting and blasting the tentacles away. Everyone's attention turns to the trio, who confirms that they're the missing squad from Saber. Judging by their gear, the captain guesses that they must be students. Meanwhile, Zumi was already studying the boss constitution and how to defeat it. She calls to Shuya, and they aim to take its core down together. On her signal, they charge in to attack, but Leo notices some of the scattered slime nearby suddenly starting to move. Realizing what was about to happen, he tries to warn Zumi, but it's too late and the enemy is already attacking from her blind spot. She manages to shield her face, but sacrifices her arm in the process. Similarly, Shuya tries to help out and fails to notice the danger creeping up from behind. He falls to his knees, unexpectedly finding his foot stuck to the ground. Left completely defenseless, the boss goes in for the kill and aims for their heads. It was finally time for Leo to step in. With his magic abyss spell, he blasts the creature apart and instantly saves his comrades. His onslaught continues, even breaking the slime's thick body apart. Soon enough, the core is exposed to the open air and becomes a target for taking as the Saber members are surprised by the developments. Absolutely refusing to let anyone touch his companions, Leo summons his scythe. He leaps high above the boss's exposed core and diving down in an instant slashes right through the weak spot with immense lethality. Just like that, the battle is over and the Red Gates boss is defeated. The Saber members stared, open-mouthed in awe and bewilderment, while the other clan members could only smile in resignation. Later on, they're formally introduced to the squad outside. Thanks to them, the entire assault team has been saved without any fatal injuries. The students smile and say they simply did what they could. Cole laughed with pride and went on about how outstanding the young wizards are. Even the captain has to admit that he mistakenly judged their abilities because of their age. With this, he calls on to his squad members and tells them to salute and bestow the highest honors to the trio who just saved them. While they all smiled, Zumi's eyes were far sadder and deep in thought than the others. Luna later celebrates and praises Leo for doing an amazing job. The main thing is that everyone in Saber was safe and even invited them to come over. It was such a huge deal that they even urged the young man to join after graduation. Just then, a few quick knocks came to his door. Luna disappeared, and he wondered who it could possibly be there at the late hour. He opens the door and is surprised to see Zumi smiling up at him with tender eyes. She apologizes for visiting so late at night, but he just worries that something is wrong. The girl hesitates and bashfully asks him to spare her some time. Zumi had come to visit so late at night to ask Leo for personalized magic lessons. She's been counting on her comrades too much and doesn't want to go on like that. Luna is slightly disappointed by the serious conversation, but the young man understands how weak she must have felt earlier. Part of that was inevitable, and what she needs now aren't comforting words. As such, he humbly grants the request should she deem him worthy of teaching her. As the girl profusely thanks him, he can't help but admire just how straightforward she always is. They waste no time and head right up to the rooftop to start. When a familiar voice calls them out for getting ahead all on their own, Shuya steps towards the moonlight wanting to join their tutoring session. Zumi is surprised that he's willing to accept lessons, but he insists that he just doesn't want to fall behind. Fortunately, the experience earlier has made both of them eager to get stronger. Since they're part of the same clan, they can't afford to have such huge gaps in power. With this, the trio begins training together. They start off with a quick assessment. They both have immense magic strength and are even capable of advanced spells. However, the two need to work hard and unlearn certain habits they've developed. For instance, Zumi often gets swept up in offense during battles. She's reminded of the fight earlier where she rushed ahead without consulting the others. Because she tends to hyper-focus on certain things, she leaves herself with several blind spots. On the other hand, Shuya has to learn how to read moves ahead of time. It's fairly easy to say, but how exactly is he supposed to do that? At least for now, he should habitually picture the worst-case scenario and use Azumi as an example. Did he expect the monster to counterattack when she dashed forward all alone? He confirms that he panicked when it happened and reacted a tad too late. Training duels at the academy are much simpler, but real battles call for sharper adaptability. In other words, they have to start calmly and maintain a broad awareness of the environment. Intending to help with that, he snaps his fingers and summons a pseudo-wolf monster with his power. It's a harmless shadow beast, and all they have to do is fight it like they would the real thing. The two nod along in understanding and soon work hard to dodge the enemy's initial attack. This goes on for quite a long time, and the copies even increase in number. At one point, Leo decides to call it a day as they have been training for quite some time. Shuya insists that it's nothing and can keep going, and their resolve fortunately reaches their comrade and trainer. Zumi in particular has a great role she's trying to fulfill. She comes from a famous family filled with great mages, and there are actually stories about them fighting on the front lines against the gates. Her tendency to rush headlong into battle likely stems from the duty inherited by her lineage. Leo recalls their meeting where she shared that her reason for being a mage was to protect people. He understands her story now, but mixing that with her personality puts too much weight on her shoulders. This is also why Shuya vows to become stronger and support her. Unable to meet his comrade's eyes, the Vice finally apologizes for the mock duel incident, and Leo can't help but smile at the bad attempt of hiding his feelings. With all that said, they continue training to reach their individual goals. Meanwhile, Cole watches from inside the building, smiling at the organization's future. A month passed, and the clan was working hard inside another gate. A huge boss raised its axe ready to strike. With a lengthy period of training, the trio now moved as a unit with Leo leading their movements. The two attacked its main body, while the leader jumped high up with his scythe. One smooth swing takes the colossal being's arms off, leaving it completely defenseless. However, things aren't as easy as they expect, as it instantly regenerates its limbs. It strikes again, crushing the ground under its fist, but the two are able to dodge by jumping up. Taking advantage of the opening, they charge their abilities up. Shuya shoots arrows of lightning while Zumi launches huge ice picks at their target. They successfully bore holes right through its gigantic body, causing it to fall lifeless on the ground. At this point, the group now moves together without anyone lagging behind. Meanwhile, the mastermind behind the gates watch them with complete visibility. He chuckles at the young wizards, seemingly deemed heroes of this era and world. Unfortunately for them, his experiment was going to be completed soon enough, and he could only look forward to his imminent meeting with Leo.
Alright, that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.